Hello, in today's topic, we will learn about Linux and the kernel. What is the kernel? What is Linux? And what is its meaning? Let's start with Linux. What is Linux? Linux is an operating system, similar to how you use Windows on a Dell, Lenovo, HP, or other laptops. In MacBook, the operating system used is called macOS. Linux is the third operating system in this list. Many people predominantly use Windows in the corporate field. Why? Because it is easy to use and GUI-based. This Linux operating system is an open-source operating system. Now, what is open source? The codes and executions you perform will be available on the internet for free. For example, if you want a source for Windows programming, like how Windows was made, you won't find it in open source. Similarly, Linux is open source because its codes are available. You can download it freely. You can modify that code and create your Linux part. You can develop your operating system. This capability is not available in Windows or Mac. Linux is CLI-based, which means command-line interface-based. Generally, an application has a few parts, but most of the work is done through the command line. If you use it in Windows, you don't use the command prompt most of the time. You use the mouse touchpad as a pointing device. Whether you want to open an application, run it, or navigate to an application or folder. It is the opposite in Linux. Linux places more emphasis on the command line and command-based operations. The command prompt is more prominent. So, this is Linux. Now, Linux has many types. If you are using Windows, there are no types of Windows. Windows has upgrade versions such as Windows XP, 7, and 8.1. These are different parts of the Windows operating system. In contrast, Linux comes in different flavors. Why do we use the term flavors? It's because their open source codes are modified to create new operating systems. We give them distinct names. Then, we open the code again, modify it, and create a third one. Generally, it is based on creative thinking. Programmers want to create an OS based on their ideas. You can see on the screen that Ubuntu OS is starting. Generally, you must have heard the name Ubuntu. It is a standard OS, especially for beginners. Whenever you want to learn something about Linux, Ubuntu OS is a good starting point. As Ubuntu is beginner-friendly, we will be first using Ubuntu for learning, then we will go for Kali Linux. If you want to use Kali Linux from starting, you can proceed as we have already taught you how to install Kali Linux in a VMware workstation. Commands will be the same in every project we are going to work in. Linux Mint OS is also available. Generally, in ethical hacking codes, it is important to understand the operating system, OS. There are various OS options such as Debian, Fedora, CentOS, Red Hat Linux, and others. Each of these operating systems has different versions of Linux, allowing users to choose any operating system according to their preferences. There are many Linux distributions like Puppy Linux and Arch Linux, each with its logo. Now what is kernel? The kernel acts as a mediator. I will give you a small example, the hardware that you use and an operating system. The work between both, the interface, is the role of the kernel. Hardware or operating systems, both are connected to the central part of an operating system. The operating system works as an interface between user applications and hardware. You can see in images, this is a very common image in which you can differentiate the meaning of the kernel. Whatever software you use, whether it is Windows or any other user-level application, the kernel plays a crucial role. Generally, there are such software that does not support hardware. So the kernel takes care of the CPU, memory, disk, and devices. Managing all of them keeps the interface of the user-level software together so that it can work smoothly and without any problems. So we learned about the kernel and Linux in a small topic. This was very important, so we included it today. If you have any queries about this, let us know in the comment section.